Hey YouTubers and flat earthers, globers. Well, I'm not addressing the globers here. I would like to do an exercise in critical thinking with people who believe that the earth is flat. Simply because it is, or because our Bible says so. And I show you now a map of what a lot of people in the world could see as the right and only map of the flat earth. Now don't zap away, because I'm going to try to invite you in an exercise in critical thinking. For that, we're first going to look at this map, and suppose I'm now a flat earther and I'm trying to convince you that this is the only right map. And suppose I happen to live in Australia or in South America. Now for me, this is the true map. First of all, and this is real, in my last job I worked here in South Africa for a company called Naspers, and we had salespeople all over the world, and every quarter they had to come in to do the quarterly review and go through the numbers and etc. So the guy from Sydney would fly like that to Johannesburg. The guy from Sao Paulo would fly like that to Johannesburg, and the people from Europe, me for instance, would fly like that. And as you can see, reasonable distances, easily done by planes, nothing special. Now the next thing I could say is that flights in the north do not really exist. Because if you, for instance, let's take two of the biggest financial powers, it's Germany and the United States. Now, one of the main reasons that airlines have connections between cities is because they want to fill the plane, so there has to be a commercial necessity. So what would be the most important connection, you think? I think the connection between the two capitals, the capital of Germany and the capital of the United States, Berlin and Washington. And you know what is funny? It doesn't exist. There is no direct flight from Berlin in Germany to Washington DC in the United States. And of course, because the distance, as you can see, is way too big on this flat earth. I made a point again. So they go via all kinds like Iceland, etc. Or you could fly to South America, Sao Paulo from Berlin, and then from Sao Paulo to Washington. Yeah, but the direct flight does not exist. And you can check it. I'm not bullshitting you, that is true. Stay with me, critical thinkers. If you're a real critical thinker, you stay with me and we're going to have fun. Now, there is another thing that proves that this is the only right map, because the whole North Pole doesn't exist. If you look at flights going from, for instance, Amsterdam or Düsseldorf or London, and they go all the way here to Japan, yeah, you can already see that is impossible. And the globers make you believe that they fly basically almost over the North Pole, or at least over Siberia, which doesn't make sense, because it goes then all the way around here, and that would not be the most clever route. So they make planes disappear. And if you look on my channel, one of my first videos I made, I did actually a online on-screen grabbing of a plane in flight radar or flight tracker, and you actually see it disappear. You see the flight from Amsterdam disappear in the so-called northern hemisphere. That's obvious, because there is no North Pole. It doesn't exist. There is no land there, and therefore they switch off the GPS. Now, you might say, well, you're mistaken because everything you say is nonsense. No. Still, stay with me, critical thinkers. If I live in Australia or South America, the sizes here of my countries are almost accurate. It is exactly what I see, what I measure. There's no distortion of Australia. There's hardly any distortion of South Africa or South America. So this is correct. And what is more correct is that Antarctica, which is the center of the world, that is why there is this Antarctica Treaty. There are no armies allowed here because this is the center of the world. Also important is that if I look at the sundials we have in Australia, South Africa, South America, we see that the sun goes counterclockwise, and that is what it does here. It doesn't turn like this as people make you believe on the normal flat earth. It goes like that, and the sundials prove it, and every time-lapse made of sundials proves it. Now, one of the last, and then I'm going to stop because the whole exercise is that I want to challenge you in critical thinking, and it doesn't need an extent of other arguments. You know, all the arguments you have, like curve not existing, remains the same here. So I'm just picking out a few that absolutely prove that this is the right flat Earth map and not the other one. And I will later ask you to debunk me. Now, the last thing that is also very, very important, that the North Pole magnetically is nothing. The flux, and we can measure that, the flux comes out of the South Pole. And it is the South Pole, therefore, that makes the compass point in the right direction, because it is actually the South Pole of your compass that is searching for the flux coming out of the flat Earth. And that's also a measurable fact. So we have direct flights that exist, and I've seen it more than 4 times per year and 6 years in a row when I was working for the company. The northern flights don't exist, like a simple important flight Berlin-Washington does not exist. Flights disappear in the north, which you can actually see in one of my videos. The sizes of the countries where we live here in, on the south of the world are absolutely correct. The sun, as we see the sun in December turn this way around, and the sundials we have all prove that is the case. Magnetism also proves this because the flux comes out of the South Pole. Now here is where you critical thinkers have to come in. You can try now, and that's the invitation I give, to come up with, to the topic and to the point, arguments why this way of thinking is wrong. And try to do it in such a way that you're not fooling yourself by taking a Gleason's map, which is the other way around, and then only prove for you that it works. It has to work for every country in the world. So maybe this will help you understand where the problems are with any flat Earth map. And basically the Gleasons, or this one, are the ones that most likely would look like a flat Earth map if the Earth was flat. But that's not the discussion. Try to debunk this. And then with arguments that do not work the other way around if you were trying to defend a flat Earth where the North Pole is the center. Because there is no land on the North Pole, it doesn't exist. Antarctica exists. And there is this ball, and all the countries gather around it with their flags. This is the center of the real flat Earth and the real world. So, I've given you a number of reasons. The regular flights that exist, the non-existing flight, disappearing flights in the north, the sizes of the countries, the way the sun moves and the sun does prove it, and the magnetic flux coming out of the South Pole. And it's up to you. And I'm interested in the creative and critical solutions you guys come up with. In the meantime, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the challenge. It's going to be interesting, and for those who don't know my channel yet and are interested in the topics, please subscribe. Thank you very much, guys, and good luck in trying to debunk this.